Town cut through the Stanley. Time for Blue Monday. Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast covering all things Ipswich Town since 2015. This is a live match reaction show after Ipswich 3, Accrington Stanley 0. And joining me is our man from the Northwest. It's Seb Brown. Another enjoyable and fairly relaxing watch, that, Seb.
It was, wasn't it? Yeah, professional and did the job. A job well done. You can't ask for more than 3 goals at home and a clean sheet to boot. So the great run has continued. We all sat here, was it a month ago now after Sheffield Wednesday with these games coming up and said we pretty much need to go and win all of them. And Bristol Rovers aside, we have. That's now, 4 on the bounce, 5 clean sheets on the bounce. So we are hitting form nicely with these bigger games on the horizon looming. So, job well done tonight. Professional performance, some players rested, and, good news all round.
Absolutely. And, of course, this is a live YouTube show. So let's say hello to some of our viewers in the comments. Lee says, evening. Chris Horn. Has everyone got written permission from Wes Burns to be here this evening? Yeah, very good. Andreas Christensen, evening everyone. Flim Flam, hello Honky Tonks. Hopefully this stream was more reliable than I follow, Seb. It wasn't at its best tonight, was it? Despite fantastic co-commentary from Matt Holland.
Yeah, Matt Holland was excellent, but I'm going to need some help when we discuss the red card because mine completely froze and I didn't see it. I didn't see a replay, so I'll need some help with that one when we get to that part of the match.
Yeah. And Nathan Hall, presumably in much warmer climes. What a result, evening all from Melbourne. I think we talk about this every time, don't we, Seb, when it's a home game? As Ipswich fans that live in different parts of the country, these are the evenings that you miss living in Suffolk, aren't they? But maybe not so much tonight with the weather.
Yeah, Baltic, was it -1, I think, at full time or something? It's it's a night for Bovril, Long Johns. I saw the chat in the Telegram group beforehand, people comparing what they were going to be wearing to keep warm tonight. I love night games. I can never go to them anymore if they're at Portman Road. I love games under the lights at Portman Road. Another decent crowd, wasn't it? I know it's the rearranged FA Cup weekend Burnley fixture, but 22,000 on a Tuesday night in League One against Accrington is absolutely outstanding, especially when you factor in stuff like the weather. So absolutely superb following, and I do miss those nights under the lights. If we get in the playoffs, what will it be? It'll be second leg will be under the lights at Portman Road, won't it, if we finish third? So I'll make sure I can make a trip back for that one.
Yeah, that'll be time to use up your annual leave, won't it, Seb?
Yeah. And just a breaking news, Plymouth have won 2-1. I've just had it on own here to keep an eye on it.
Don't say breaking news. Breaking news makes it sound like you're about to drop some big news there, Seb, rather than...
No, they've won 2-1. So, the gap is maintained, unfortunately, with a very dodgy penalty decision, I'd suggest, from the replays that I've seen.
Indeed. And Plymouth have still got Barnsley away at the weekend, haven't they? So...
Yeah, that's the kind of the last chance saloon. After that, as Ben was saying on the Flagship, their run does get pretty routine. I think it's the likes of Forest Green and Accrington and Morecambe and stuff. So if they get through Saturday, I think come the final 10 games of the season, they're in the home straight. So fingers crossed Barnsley and Mr. Norwood can do us a favour on Saturday. But obviously we've got to go to Bolton and produce ourselves. But after these, this 4-game winning spell, the 5 clean sheets on the bounce, I think we go there absolutely full of confidence, don't we?
We do indeed. And a bit of a selection headache for McKenna as well. Nathan's piped up. It's freezing here, 15 degrees, 9 o'clock in the morning. Yep, cheers for that. Right, let's get into the Ipswich team news and not the changes that we were anticipating, sir.
No, I kind of thought he might just simply go with continuity again. I guess we all thought Davis would be injured given the comments made after the game. So I think we kind of expected to see Greg Lee in the left back position. And then he likes to rotate the strikers, doesn't he? It's rare a striker will start back-to-back games, especially in such quick succession. And Luongo as well. Did he have it in him to start 2 games in 4 days? So I was surprised when the team sheet came out. Always happy to see Danasian get a game. I thought he was excellent tonight. Jackson, who we'll discuss as well, in for Burns. A lot of people have been clamouring about that recently. I guess that the relationship that Clark and Burns were building on Saturday makes it almost strange that they've both been rested tonight when it's no disrespect to Accrington, but it's an easier chance, isn't it, to continue building that covalent bond, as Harry used to keep saying. So I was a bit surprised to see the right-hand side completely change, but always delighted to see Chaplin and Broadhead start. For me, they should start every game now. We'll discuss Broadhead in a minute. Chaplin not quite on it as much tonight as he has been recently, but those two should be the first names on the team sheet for me going forward for the last 11 games, because they offer such attacking threat. They're such good quality players. And yeah, I guess Davis was the big surprise that he got. Was it 60, 70 minutes in the end? That was an added plus.
Yeah, it was absolutely. And Chaplin, as you mentioned, maybe not quite at it tonight. We'll get into that, but just his presence at the moment is the inform man in the league, isn't he? He just makes so much space for everyone else up there.
He does, yeah, closing in on 20 for the season, on 19 now, isn't he? So he's desperately wanting to become that first 20-goal striker since, I assume, Daryl Murphy in the playoff season, I guess. And yeah, him and Broadhead as two of the three behind the striker, hopefully, is how it will be for the whole of the season now, because those two are such quality players. When you see them on the team sheet, you always think that you've got a chance. I know we're the top scorers in the league, but you always think you've got a chance to do something in the game offensively. And yeah, two superb players, and Chaplin's bringing absolutely brilliant form recently. He's hit form at a great time because he has these peaks and troughs, doesn't he? We had it in sort of September, autumn time where he was excellent and got a few braces on the bounce. Then he dipped a little bit in November, October, and then he just looks like he's now starting to come back into form for the running, which can only be good news.
Just quickly look at the Accrington team. I'm not sure who that fella is on the cover of it, but yeah, Jensen in goal. I'm not, to be honest, I'm not even. I'll run through the names: Clark, Longello, Sangare, Rogers, Presley. Presley was the big centre forward, wasn't he? And he had Mancini playing in just behind him.
Yeah,
he was quite lively, I thought. Martin Quirk, Keneally was the captain. He was getting a bit mouthy with Morsey towards the end, but Morsey won that battle, didn't he? And Fernandez. So yeah, not many household names. No former Ipswich players in that lineup this time.
No, when you look at that side, if you think of the Accringtons in the past, the sides that have kind of bullied us physically over the last couple of years in League One, you think of the like of Harry Pell, Matt Butcher, Colby Bishop, Sykes, the centre-back. They've all moved on. They've lost that spine of the team, haven't they? They've lost the goals from up front, that horrible spine that would make the games really horrible to play in. I remember Harry Pell at Portman Road just mouthing off to everybody and winding everybody up, and they've kind of lost that experienced spine down the middle, and I guess that's why they are where they are, whereas in previous years they've been pretty comfortable in kind of lower mid-table. This year they're really, really struggling, aren't they?
Yeah, you can see why. Neil Perks says, good to see the front three staying the same. I think there was a tweet from Ipswich about that the front three staying the same, and I think that probably was because all three had such an impact on Saturday. It would have been harsh on any of them to drop down. You said about Broadhead and Chaplin wanting them to play every single game, and why not? It would have been easy to bring Hurst in tonight, wouldn't it? But I thought Ladapo had a decent game without scoring, didn't he?
I thought so. Yeah, the way he pins players is absolutely superb. He's really raised his game since the January strikers all came in. But it's a curious one now for Bolton, because it would be rare for the central striker to kind of get 3 games on the bounce. Even before Hurst joins, he was often dipped out a bit for John Jules when he was fit, Jackson occasionally. So it's a real strange one for Bolton now. I'm not sure what he'll do. Will he keep Ladapo, Broadhead, and Chaplin as that that kind of triangle up front and bring Burns back in, or will Hurst look to get a start? I don't know. I fully expected Hurst to start today and then Ladapo to come back in on Saturday away to Bolton. So I'm not sure what he'll do at the weekend now. It's a curious one, but great to see them building up that understanding and that relationship a little bit more. He's a decent foil for both Broadhead and Chaplin, isn't he? He's so good at back to goal when he's kind of pinned his man and looking to lay balls off, and Broadhead and Chaplin are like they're so advanced and they're so busy in that final third that they can sort of play off him really, really well, and it worked a treat again tonight.
Absolutely, and plenty for, I think it's Rich and Joe, isn't it, to talk about on the Bolton Wanderers pre-match show, which I think they may be doing on Thursday at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, going live this week, isn't it? It's going live. I beat Rich this week again in predictions, so I received a signed for letter to my house to say that my services were no longer required on the pre-match show. So it's Joe and Rich doing it this week. Yeah, they're going live on Thursday to discuss all things Bolton before the big one on Saturday.
Yeah, I think it was actually just resting resting the brain, as it were, for you, Seb. A busy week for you on the podcast, isn't it?
Yeah.
So going into the match and quite a cagey first few minutes, we were quite clearly trying to get the ball in behind their left back for Caden Jackson right from the word go, weren't we? And on 12 minutes, that plan pays off as we make it 1-0. And for the third home game in a row, just taking the pressure off the game a little bit by scoring early.
It's exactly what we didn't do in these games earlier in the season, when we found ourselves getting more and more frustrated and more wound up. I mean, you could see what Accrington were going to do. Obviously, it's a very different game to Burton at the weekend. They've got the low block. They're well organised. The midfield sits deep. The keeper was winding up a little bit, taking his time over the goal kicks. The throw-ins were taking a while. All the dark arts that we sometimes struggle with were starting to come out. And the best thing you can do is score early and just keep going. We saw it with Morecambe, Forest Green, Burton. I guess at the weekend were a bit different because they didn't play in the same kind of way. But against these low block sides that are time wasting from minute one, the absolute best thing you can do is score early. And what a beautiful, great goal it was. Luongo picks up the ball in space and drives forward, and the weight of that pass out to Jackson was absolutely superb, wasn't it? Into the right hand channel. Jackson doesn't have to break stride. He's already looking up to see where the players are in the box and plays a lovely ball in. And Broadhead is there. Is that 4 in 4 now, I think, at Portman Road? 4 goals in 4 games, and he's there to tap home. And that's exactly what you want. Like I've just said, if you can score early against these sides who are already time wasting from minute one, then straight away, you've won half the battle, because you're forcing them to kind of come out a little bit. And it was, a really, really lovely, well worked goal. An absolute class from Luongo. He's been superb since he came in. We saw a couple of 20-minute, 30-minute cameos from him, but these last 2 games where he started, he's excellent. He brings other players a little bit out of their shell. Morsey is playing deeper, but he seems to be playing with a lot more freedom, given that he's once again got a more experienced partner alongside him. So we're getting more out of Morsey. Luongo never gives the ball away, and that through ball weight of pass to Jackson for the assist was absolutely brilliant from him.
Yeah, and it definitely wasn't the last good pass that we saw from Luongo in this game either, was it? So 21st minute, Ladapo has his first sight of goal as a header held by Jensen after fantastic play from Donatian, who's recalled to the team. Showed what he was all about in just that one move there, Seb. Two tackles and then carries the ball forward so well. I actually think he was trying to chip the ball to the back post.
I did think that, yeah.
Some of his final ball wasn't great.
Yeah.
But just such an asset, these fullbacks, aren't they? We've got 4 excellent fullbacks, and it's never a huge drop down in quality. But yeah, how good to see Janoy Donatian just slotting back in there like he hadn't been away.
Yeah, great to see. I didn't expect him to start. I assumed Clark would still be the right back. And yeah, it's kind of a crunching tackle that wins the ball in the first place, and the ball stays in on the touchline. He then tackles again, and then he's through, isn't he? And like you, I thought he was trying to find. I think Broadhead was lurking at the far post. Maybe it was Davis coming in.
Yeah, I
thought he was trying to. He had a bit of time, didn't he? When he's got the ball in that position, when he's looking up, he was kind of trying to work out who to play it to. In the end, it's a bit of a dinked kind of cross, which I guess takes the power off the ball. And Ladapo does well to get up and head it to the keeper's arms. But I think he was trying to pick out the far post, but superb play before that to get forward, and that's what Donatian gives you. We know he's such a good one-on-one defender. The previous managers have said he's probably the best defender at the club, but it's great to see that maybe not in previous seasons he never got forward as much, never had that end product in his locker, but this season certainly he's kind of moved that on and advanced it. And like you said, it's great that when Clark drops out and we have what I guess we would all call a less attacking fullback in the side, we're still creating as much and we're still getting forward as much down that right-hand channel.
Absolutely. And Michael Warner says he thought JD played really well tonight, covering across the back line and getting forward to help out in attack. And yeah, Lee's in agreement, although his cutbacks from the byline very rarely found a sound player. That is a fair comment, but hey, he was getting into the right positions. And with Burns there, I think he finds it slightly easier to know where to cut the ball back to. Whereas Jackson, as fantastic as he is, he's a little bit more random, isn't he? A little bit more off the cuff than Wes Burns. Obviously, scoring early, one of the benefits of that is Accrington are dragged up the pitch, and quite often we were being quite slow and considered, and we were being pressed in possession, playing out from the back. But Accrington did, to be fair, have their moments as well. There was a decent free kick from quite far out that Walton holds. In the 34th minute, Ladapo has a smart sort of toe-poked effort saved by Jensen after a nice little run from Chaplin and the number 10. We're actually nearly caught out on the stroke of half-time. Mancini, lively Mancini, wore his socks low and black boots as well, so clearly a player. Nutmegs Wolfenden and tees up Presley, and his shot, not sure if it took a slight deflection or whether Walton tipped it over, but he then had to hold on to another long-distance shot. It's all going on in the first half injury time. We break. Leif Davis, excellent ball, really well cut out by the defender Harvey Rogers, and then a fantastic little bit of play. But Chaplin's just straight offside. It was Jackson again. Well, it was Luongo played a lovely ball in behind, and the cut back
Jackson
across.
cuts it back across, and Chaplin's just gone offside. Yeah, we kind of not switched off, but there was a 10-minute spell, wasn't there, from sort of 30 to, well, I guess the last 15 minutes of the half, maybe from 30 minutes to 45, where Accrington, they never really looked like scoring that much, but they kind of got themselves in a couple of good positions, had a couple of efforts from range, like you said, and I think we were all discussing it in the Telegram group that the second goal would be absolutely crucial to completely kill them off, and if that Chaplin goal had been given, then that would have absolutely been game over at half time. But just a quick word there for what you said. That ball from Davis that he played in just before the disallowed goal was an absolutely peach of a cross, wasn't it? One of those where you're just dying for the centre forward to absolutely throw himself with a diving header and get on the end of it. So unlucky with the Chaplin effort, ruled off for offside. Had that gone in at 2-0, it's completely game over. And I guess maybe that gave Accrington a little bit of hope going into the second half, given they'd had a fairly decent, without creating any chances of real note, like we said, the free kick and the one from range, the one Walton tips over. I didn't think we were overly uncomfortable. Maybe we just kind of took our eye off the ball for the last 10, 15 minutes of the half.
Yeah, but overall, it was fairly good, wasn't it? I think we've got high standards now, haven't we? We expect to be 2 or 3-0 down against these teams at half time, but it's not always going to happen, Seb, especially on quite a dodgy pitch as well.
Yeah, it's not looking great, is it, the pitch at the moment? Every time I log on the iFollow or make my monthly trip to Portman Road and see it, it's coming up quite badly, isn't it? We've been spoilt recently, haven't we? We've had 4-0 against Forest Green, 4-0 against Burton, 4-0 against Morecambe. So I guess against these kind of sides, we are expecting it to become the run of the mill. We were obviously, playing out from the back to try and draw them up the pitch and then look to use Jackson's pace, especially as an outlet in that right-hand channel to break on them. I thought it was a very comfortable, professional first half performance. You kind of got the impression that if we needed to, we could have really kind of stepped it up again. But if we didn't need to in the first half, it was comfortable. We got the goal relatively early, and we kind of were able then to play out the rest of the half in total control, and then look to build again going into the second half. And I don't know, why do you think they changed us round? Surely the managers have seen recently how good we've been when sides have swapped us and we attacked the north stand first. I thought that was a really weird thing to do, given how
did they definitely change us round, Seb?
Oh, I presume so. Yeah, I wasn't paying that close detail. Why do you think?
I suppose we wouldn't warm up. We wouldn't warm up in our half, would we?
No, it just seemed a strange thing to do, given John Coleman's a very experienced manager. They'll have watched plenty of our recent games and seen how we have been relentless. If you think of Morecambe and Oxford and the likes, and against the sides that have switched us around, it was a really strange decision to make. I don't know. There must have been a reason for them to do it, but yet again, it's backfired.
Yeah, maybe it is just because they know we don't like it. I think Wolsey showed his hand a little bit on Saturday by
he did. Yeah,
he did look visibly annoyed that they'd switched us around. But there you are. I think it's maybe just something that you do if you win the toss away from home, especially when you've only got 49 away fans. Although fair play to them, but yeah, not much to suck the ball in the net for them in the first or second half. And the second half starts with a little bit of Christian Walton dodginess, doesn't it? He sort of couldn't find his pass and ends up just giving it away. A few groans from the home crowd there, but then nice little ball from Morsey, a nice diagonal positive forward pass from him to Jackson. Lovely little chest down. You can tell that Jackson's full of confidence. Chaplin hits a half volley just over. You wouldn't be overly surprised to see Chaplin find the back of the net from there. And then that penalty shout on 49, Ladapo really pinning his man with his back to goal and seems to be pulled down. Tom Bradford thinks so. He thinks it was a Stonewall pen. What say you, Seb?
I wasn't so sure. I think it was the old 6 of one, half a dozen the other, to quote Mr. Diamond, a bit of both. He's backing in, isn't he? And, I always kind of look at the players' reactions around the fouled player to gauge the seriousness of it. And we didn't really, I don't think, appealed that much. So that obviously puts his arms up to ask the ref a question. But I think it would have been harsh if that had been given. If that's Burgess against somebody in our box and that's given, I think you'd be pretty angry, to be honest.
Fair enough, fair enough. And there was a couple of little decisions that went against Jackson in the second half that Matt Holland and Glenn Wheeler were incensed by, but they obviously didn't get to see the replays. I think both times it showed that Jackson actually was committing fouls there. He's
Yeah, I'll be honest. In real time, I agreed. I thought the ref was starting to have a bit of a shocker, and typical League One ref who's making blatant errors and getting things very wrong. There's one on Burgess, I thought, who kicked the ball against their striker, and it went out. It was obviously one of our throw-ins, but I think on replays, a couple of them were the correct decision. So maybe I have to give the ref the benefit of the doubt there for once. Normally, we absolutely slate them, but yeah, I guess he did get a couple of them right.
Flimflam says now Seb's using Dave Diamond's trademarked catchphrase. Was that bit of both, or was that
bit of both? Yeah. To quote the Ladapo penalty, I said to quote Mr. Diamond, maybe a bit of both. Sort of
lovely.
6 of one, half a dozen the other for me.
Yeah. Goal number 2 arrived 6 minutes after that penalty shout, Seb. And this time it comes from the other side of the pitch, the left side of the pitch. We crying out for goals from that side last season and indeed earlier on this season. Just nice play from Broadhead, wasn't it? Just ran at his man, positive, gets past him, cuts it across. Luongo should have scored though, shouldn't he?
He should have done, head in his hands, even when Jackson sort of stabs it home. He can't believe he's missed it. But Broadhead, what a player he is. He's so direct with the ball. He's always positive with it. He's looking to beat his man. He gets himself into that left-hand channel, runs it to the byline, and then he just, goes round the guy right on the touch line, has the awareness to look up, pull it back. Luongo's running in, deflects off I think he had 2 deflections. I think it went off the defender. Then the keeper, I think, might have got a touch to it to tip it onto the bar. And then Jackson does well because he's pretty close in and it comes back to him quite quickly, and he adjusts and slams the ball home, and that is then at that point complete game over. Luongo, like we say, should have scored. He was absolutely excellent tonight. Broadhead was absolutely excellent as well. A goal made from those two again, and Jackson's the one sharp, and he deserved a goal. Jackson, I thought he did play
it, didn't he?
Yeah, really well. It reminded me when I went to Turf Moor in the FA Cup replay, and Jackson kind of played as the outlet down that right hand channel, and he runs all game. Even in the 75th minute, whatever it was, he's back in the full back position. Chasing his man back. He works so tirelessly for the team. His pace is such a useful weapon, a useful outlet. He works really, really hard, and he fully deserved that goal, I thought. And he reacts really well to stab the ball home. And at that point, it's game over. The important thing then becomes I guess, some of the rotation. Maybe you start to think about resting players with an eye on Saturday. You want to preserve that clean sheet. That becomes the priority. And if you can kind of suck Accrington in a little bit, because they pressed us higher, didn't they, in that first 5-10 minutes of the second half? They were noticeably pressing us more. So I guess we were just trying to kind of play out from the back short and play over the press to get in behind the fullbacks. And at that point, 2-0 up in complete control, you can kind of start to have one eye on Saturday with regards to tactics and substitutions.
Indeed, which you've segued perfectly for me there, Seb. 63 minutes. Humphreys and Harness come on for the excellent Luongo and Broadhead. I think Luongo is still probably man of the match. I suppose it'd probably be unfair not to give it to Jackson in the end, but I thought that was a fantastic hour of football from Luongo, and Broadhead as well, just so positive.
It was hard to choose between. I'd give it to Jackson, given he was on the pitch for longer, I guess. But yeah Luongo was absolutely superb. I was quite glad when I saw Humphrey stripped off and assumed he was coming off, because he's not played a lot of football recently since he joined us. I think he's barely played in the first half of the season, and with the games coming up, we're going to need him in the middle of that pitch away at Bolton and away at Barnsley in a couple of weeks' time. So I was surprised to see him start, and I was quite happy, given when he came off at 60 minutes. He was excellent for the time he was on the pitch, but get him rested, in preparation to go again at the weekend.
Yeah, definitely. He's going to have to put an absolute shift in on Saturday, isn't he? But are you feeling like such a positive Luongo getting into the team, especially ahead of this big game? It feels like Bolton away, you're a lot more comfortable going into that with Luongo in there alongside Morsey. Dare we say it, maybe even more so than you would be if it was Evans and Morsey?
I think so, because he adds that kind of Evans is a physical player, but Luongo just seems to he combines the physicality with the ball control. He's like a Luca. He just never gives the ball away, does he? You know, you can rely on him to find him in any kind of situation. He'll retain the ball. He'll play the simple pass. He'll knock the ball off quickly to a full back or to Morsey. Morsey seems to have been. He's kind of been playing. I know he's had the suspension hanging over him. I think they said on co-coms tonight he's not been booked since the Cambridge game. So he's had a bit of a tightrope suspension-wise over him because if he gets booked, he's 2 match missing. We've got some big games coming up, and we didn't have any bodies in the squad to replace him. But he just looks like he's kind of been freed up a lot by Luongo coming in as well. He's playing noticeably deeper. Luongo's definitely the box-to-box option, as seen by the second goal when he gets on the end of it and hits the crossbar. And yeah, going into these big games, I really like Cameron Humphreys. I think he's going to be a superb player, but I think he's probably played a bit too much football from where they would want to in his development so far. And we have seen at times when you go away to these kind of sides like Bolton, like Barnsley, Shrewsbury's not going to be easy either, but you can sometimes get physically bullied by teams. Wednesday did to us a little bit. And I just think if you've got Luongo in the middle alongside Morsey, you're adding the experience, the nous, the physicality, and you're getting more out of Morsey. So I think it's a total win-win scenario. Evans gives you the set piece threat and that big switch out to the fullbacks, which Luongo probably doesn't give you.
Yeah, Michael Warner says that we still miss Evans's crossfield passes. Yeah, it does. It gets the ball out to Davis and Burns and Jackson just that little bit quicker, doesn't it? But Luongo just controls the game and the tempo slightly better.
Yeah, definitely. And for me, Evans hasn't quite been as, the first half of the season superb. He gets the injury against, was it Derby in September, October time, misses 10 games or so. He's not quite been at that same level since he came back again. So yeah, going into these difficult away games, I really wanted Luongo to be fit for the Sheffield Wednesday game at Portman Road because I knew what a big side they were. And it was a bit gutting when the team sheet came out because we all kind of figured he would feature, having been not played against Burnley in the midweek tie. And when he was missing, I thought that was a blow given their physicality. So I'm really glad going into these difficult away games that he is going to be available.
Absolutely. But Humphreys has still got a part to play, hasn't he? And he almost scores with his first touch after some more Chaplin magic. He nutmegs his man. That's probably the nicest bit of play from Chaplin tonight. Excellent low cross again from Caden Jackson. Reaches Humphreys at the back post, but he just misses his target. Goes for top corner, doesn't he?
Was that Humphreys? I thought that was Davis. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't realise.
The commentary was saying that it was Davis. Please correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm fairly certain the camera went to Humphreys, and on second viewing, I'm pretty sure it was Humphreys.
Okay, I missed that one. Okay,
so that might be the iFollow camera tricking me there. Davis and Adapo then come off. Clark comes on at left back. Hurst comes on at centre forward. And in the 84th, not much happening at this stage. We're just sort of seeing the game out at 2-0. Carl Edwards then comes on for Chaplin on 84. As we mentioned, it didn't always come off for Chaplin, but a lively display from him. Game is petering out until Accrington reduced 10 minute injury time. And now, unless Rich Woodward's joining us, and hopefully will soon, I think we're struggling a little bit with this one, Seb, because this took place while there was a little bit of a video outage over at Stockley Park with the iFollow. We lost pictures momentarily, but I think what we saw was Kyle Edwards playing Clark in behind, and Clark just showing a real good turn of pace. And the goalkeeper Jensen comes flying out and wipes out Clark. Clark has maybe overran the ball a little bit, but I think he saw Jensen coming. Jensen sent off and is replaced by quite a short-looking goalkeeper.
He was small.
Seb.
Yeah, I thought that.
I think the first thing we saw was the goalkeeper running quite awkwardly over to the goal, and Carl Edwards standing over the free kick. Seb, I mean, we've seen Chaplin score a free kick direct at that end this season. We've seen Broadhead score a free kick at that end. We saw Leif Davis score a free kick at the other end. So that's it. It's now 4 players that we've seen strike free kicks, when I don't think I'd ever seen Carl Edwards take a free kick before.
No, similar to Broadhead against Sheffield Wednesday, wasn't it? It's one of those where they're standing over the ball and you're thinking, okay, let's see what they can do, because like you said, I've never seen him take it before. Really, really happy for Carlos. I really like him as a player. You know, if Chaplin had been on, if Broadhead had been on, if Davies had still been on, there's no way he gets to take that free kick. So yeah, he did well to put the ball through for Clark to run onto. So he's involved in the sending off, and he gets his rewards. It's a lovely free kick. I've seen on Twitter there's someone's filming it from from Churchman's, and it's right in the top corner. The keeper is right in the middle of the goal. He doesn't look to go one way. He's just kind of beaten by the fact it's, you know, proper top bins, and it was an excellent strike from Edwards. And the icing on the cake, wasn't it? Because, you know, we played really well, professional performance, professional job, and it just adds another kind of tick in the momentum box and a tick in the positivity box going into these difficult away games. You know, we sat here after Sheffield Wednesday at home and Bristol Rovers, kind of lamenting, thinking autos are gone. It's going to be the playoffs, and in the last month or so, the last 3-4 weeks, we've clawed back half the deficit to Plymouth. Okay, tonight we kind of hoped it would be even further, but they got out of jail against Derby, and now we're going to these difficult run of games. Now we've had our easy run, we've performed as we should have done, we've kept a lot of clean sheets, we're scoring a lot of goals, so it can only be positives, and delighted for Kyle Edwards that he's got involved with that, because I always like him as a player. You know, McKenna always seems to find space on the bench for him. He's one of those that is, you know, no matter how many changes are made to the starting 11, he will always feature on the bench regardless of who's dropping in and out, and I'm really happy for him to come on and you know, get that goal. It was an excellent free kick, and like you said, the icing on the cake.
Ben Reid was at the game. He says he wasn't convinced by Harness. Won't go into too much detail about him, but do you think maybe with Edwards now full of confidence after scoring that goal, he might be the attacking option to come off the bench at Bolton if we're needing a goal?
Well, he's a game changer. That's what I like about Edwards. Edwards is a game changer. You know, Harness, you kind of know what you're going to get, and I don't think Harness is great when he comes into games. I always think he's so much better when he starts. He seems to take a bit of time to get up to the tempo and the pace of the game. I know it can be difficult when you're 2 or 3 up and you're coming on, because the subs tend to kill the game a little bit, don't they? But for me, yeah, he's always better as a player that should always start. I don't think he should always start every game. I mean, he's better as a player who starts from the 90 minutes, and he tends to struggle when he gets into games and gets up to the pace and the tempo. Edwards for me is a game changer. If you're looking for something, you know, someone who can go either side, beat his man, use either foot, provide a magical moment like he did against Cambridge, where he cuts in from the byline and it's a cross come shot. And for me, he should always be on the bench, because you want your bench to be game changers. And I guess if you're away from home and you're struggling, throw somebody like that on who just brings chaos with them, who the opposition are going to struggle to know what to do with. Then it's a very useful bit of armory in the locker, isn't it?
It is indeed, and good timing here from Mr. Rich Woodward. Are you thawing out, Rich?
My glasses are the issue, I think. Apologies if they steam up. How you guys doing?
Yeah, very well, thank you. We're nice and warm and cozy. We enjoyed the game tonight. How was it from your perspective, Rich? We've literally just talked about Kyle Edwards' goal, and potentially Edwards being the bench option. The more likely option coming off the bench than Harness after those late cameos tonight.
Yeah, I feel sorry for Harness. It's not working for him right now. I'm not sure if he's trying too hard. A bit of a cliche, but it appears like he's trying to overcomplicate things a little bit. And he just hasn't had. He needs to be in the team when he's got Clark bombing on or Jackson pinging in crosses that he can tap in, because he just needs a goal, I think, to get some confidence. And yeah, nice goal for Edwards, wasn't it? We were all sort of saying get it on target. How old was their keeper who subbed on? He looked like he was 12.
They were saying on commentary that he's been in this position a few times before. I think that was his 4th appearance, and I think they might have all come after Jensen's been sent off.
Okay, it's a regular.
But yeah, the kit looks a bit big for him, didn't it?
It looked, he looked very small as well. So, perfectly placed, but not a great situation for a goalkeeper to come into it, especially an inexperienced one like that. But yeah, job done tonight, wasn't it? Good professional performance. Something that I wanted to mention was fair play, big praise for Kieran McKenna. A lot of people getting all excited over the results over Christmas, New Year weren't great. All these draws, but a lot of people overanalyzing, being particularly critical of the way that we were approaching these games. And I think here on this channel, we were particularly consistent that if any manager or coach can figure out a strategy to start to beat these teams, it's Kieran McKenna. And the last 4 matches have proven that. It's going to be interesting to see how we evolve to play Bolton on Saturday, who will definitely want to attack us and will not sit in. But, you know, there were people nervous tonight. There were people nervous on the Telegram group. And I'm sitting there thinking, no, what have you not seen the last 3 weeks? We've figured this out now. Yes, it's coincided with the likes of Broadhead coming into the team, Clark coming into the team. But that's by design by McKenna. McKenna, those targets were acquired some time ago. The signings took, until January to happen. And I think we are attacking teams much quicker. Being able to bring on Jackson tonight and try and get him in behind down the right-hand side worked to treat. But we've slightly tweaked things tactically. It's clear that we're trying to attack and be more direct a lot quicker, and it's working for us. And yeah, I'm really pleased to see the turnaround in form in these types of games now, because we look confident, and that confidence now grows into these more tougher fixtures where, again, on paper, it's a football match, isn't it, rather than a kind of a game of chess, which sometimes the likes of Burt and the likes of Accrington are. But yeah, I just wanted to shout out McKenna because it's easy to forget, given how a great job he's done for the last year or so, that he had a bit of a few questions asked of him, and I think he's answered them with flying colours.
Absolutely, Rich. And while we're doing shout outs, let's shout out David Bergen. Evening, guys. Sorry I'm late. We've got Ian Barron here, our favourite Darlington fan as well. He says that it's -6 through the night in Darlow tonight. It must have felt like it was -6 at the North Stand tonight. Rich, standing on that concrete.
Yeah, my dad said, "Have you double socked it?" And I was like, "No." And I got Vans on, and I thought, do you know what? I'll be fine because I've got the walk home. But I was jogging on the spots towards the end. But it's what you got to do, Mikey. I've got to put a shift in. Do you know what I mean? And I've got to run up the hill for you guys.
Absolutely, Masalawongo energy from Rich Woodward
how
tonight.
good was he?
He was fantastic, wasn't he? Probably man of the match.
Thank you, David.
If he stayed on the pitch a bit longer. Yeah, big thank you to David for the €5 super sticker. Hope you had a fantastic time. First ever visit to Portman Road at the weekend. I hope you really enjoyed your stay in Ipswich. We'll come back to a few more comments. Let's have a look at the other results, shall we? Because we haven't really.
Oh, do we have to?
Yeah, at the time of clipping this, Plymouth were 2-1 up to Derby, and that is, unfortunately for us, how it stayed. Derby took a first half lead through Mendes-Lang, and Plymouth turned it round midway through the second half, didn't they, Seb?
Yeah, frustratingly. I mean, I've seen the clip back for the winning goal. I think it's a deflection for the equaliser, and then a soft penalty. Having seen the clips of it on Twitter for the winner, and yeah, like I say, that's one down. They've got Barnsley at the weekend, and then their run, like Ben and the guys were discussing on Sunday, their run does get pretty straightforward. It's kind of a similar run to what we've just had. So fingers crossed, Barnsley can do us a favour. You just kind of do feel sometimes maybe. The stars are aligning. It's a lightning in the bottle season, and no matter what gets thrown at them, they will manage to get across the line.
Indeed. And Barnsley, they're still hot on our heels, Rich. Just a solid routine win over a decent Portsmouth side.
Yeah, but I guess on a Tuesday night, if you're Portsmouth with nothing really to play for, it's difficult to get yourself up for it. And Barnsley, as I was saying before, Barnsley have just got this confidence about them now, haven't they? It's bloody annoying when you look at your phone when there's a break in play, and at that point it was Plymouth 0-0 and Barnsley, I think, were already 2-0 up or something stupid like that. You were kind of hoping for favours, and yeah, Portsmouth probably. There's a lot of teams in that fixture list there today. Portsmouth, I'd include in that, who've got nothing to play for really. So long old trip for them on a Tuesday night. Doesn't necessarily surprise me that Barnsley got the win there.
Indeed, a big game a couple of big games down at the bottom, ending in draws there. Cambridge 1, Morecambe 1, Cheltenham 0, Lincoln 0. Peterborough sort of kept their slim playoff hopes alive with a 2-1 victory over Shrewsbury. That probably ends Shrewsbury's hopes. And Wickham right back in it, now in the hunt for 6th spot, I suppose you'd say. They've closed the gap on Derby, haven't they? If we look at the league table now. So, yeah, the good news is we're now only 5 points off Leaders Sheffield Wednesday, Seb.
True. I mean, the played column might have something to do with that. Yeah, I think we all agree now that Wednesday going to win the league. I can't see any other result, and we're in a shootout with Plymouth to get second. I think I didn't realise how close Wickham had kind of closed the gap. Derby aren't in a great run of form, are they? So yeah, Wickham are 4 points behind them with a game in hand. So I don't know if they've got to play each other at some point, but Derby are the ones starting to kind of drop out of it a little bit. A couple of weeks ago, I thought that the top six was set. I just thought it'd be a case of trying to work out who finishes where, but it has opened up slightly in the last sort of 10 days to 2 weeks or so, and Wickham will definitely have one eye now on gate crashing, and Derby seem to, hopefully they'll continue this dodgy run of form until we can go there.
Absolutely. We can still do it. They can't be rich.
I don't know, Mikey. I was really hopeful for tonight. I really was. The only thing I can clutch at in terms of straws for Plymouth is they will stumble somewhere. There will be a draw where they should have won or something like that, and which none of us, any of us expected. Teams will drop points between now and the end of the season. You just got to hope they keep doing it. But I think maybe the issue for us really is expecting Plymouth to drop points at home. It's just not going to happen. Such a long old trip, and we know to our benefit that people, poor Accrington fans, like 59 of them tonight. That's a long old trip to make on a cold Tuesday night. And I think similar there, if you're going down to Plymouth, that's a slog, that is. So we've got to hope for favours when Plymouth play away, I think, more than anything.
Yeah, Martin's got a point sort of against that a little bit. Positives in the run-in versus Plymouth's last 5 games for us will probably be against mid-table teams, whereas Plymouth have teams trying to avoid relegation. So if we can stay within 3 points, the chance is still there. But the only way we're going to be able to stay within 3 points is if we win at least 2 of those big away games, right?
Yeah, I think we have to go to. But I think we have to win at Bolton. Personally, I know they've got Barnsley. Plymouth have got Barnsley away at the weekend, but there are other away games. You're talking Exeter, Shrewsbury, Morecambe. These aren't games that are really gonna. I know some of the sides might be scrapping for relegation, and you never know what can happen when pressure kicks in and sides are trying to scrap it out. But I don't know. I just the more the season goes on, and the more we joke about their outperforming XG massively, they're going to win something in the 94th minute from 30 yards out. The more it continues being the norm, like me and Rich discussed on one of the pre-match shows recently, the more you do just kind of think maybe the stars are aligned, and it is destiny that no matter what, they'll be going up at second this season. I don't know, long way to go, 11 games to go for us both, but yeah, I think if they get past Saturday, then they will have eyes on on the prize, given the relatively straightforward nature of the run-in for them. But all we can do is look after ourselves, like Matt Holland kept saying on the co-coms. All we can do is look after ourselves. I think we need to go to Bolton and win. I think we need to follow that with a good result against Shrewsbury, and then you've got the 2 big back-to-back against Derby and Barnsley, where I guess if you come out unbeaten from those 2 games, that's not going to be that bad a result. And then our fixtures will settle down a little bit going into Easter and stuff. So yeah, we can only do what we can do.
Mad things always happen over that Easter weekend, don't they?
Very true.
It's sort of a two-game weekend almost, isn't it? And there's always drama, crazy results, and things like that. Like just an example off the top of my head from the Championship was when Wigan went to Leeds and won there, and then all of a sudden that completely changed the Championship promotion picture that season, didn't it?
And we know as well to our cost that there are teams in mid-table who are or slightly lower to get themselves saved by Easter, Mikey, and then have home games and have nothing to lose and just stumble across ping a shot or a free kick in, and the teams with stuff to hold on to will start getting nervous. That will happen. We hope that goes on as long as it can, like till the last day. The thing that I keep seeing mentioned as well is like, oh, are we going to raise ourselves to the playoffs? At the moment, if we get automatics, that's amazing. That is a huge turnaround in our fortunes. All of us expect to finish in the playoffs right now. We hope for more, and mathematically, and there's, as Seb said, there's a lot of football to be played. It could be more than that. The idea that I think we'd be surprised by the outcome of being in the playoffs, though, and therefore not be motivated to do it. I think if you keep winning, if you get a taste of possibly chasing down that second spot, I think that's a strong incentive to say, right, well, you're clearly the third best team. Prove it in the playoffs. Hopefully you've beaten a Bolton or a Barnsley along the way as well. I mean, that's massive, as Seb has said anyway. Psychologically, frankly, more than anything, I know it keeps the dream of automatic alive, but psychologically ahead of inevitable not, that's the wrong word. Do you know what I mean? Likely playoffs. You want to have taken points off those teams and beaten
like
them,
we did in 2000, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
And not like we did in 2015.
Spot on. So I think psychologically we'll be right. I'm pretty confident. It then comes down to the kind of lottery of it, but yeah, it'd be great if we could do to avoid it altogether, wouldn't it?
Indeed. Let's dip back into these comments again. Luke Thornley says he's been critical of Jackson this season, but fair play, he was excellent. There's been a lot of love for Jackson tonight. Rich, one of his best performances, but then maybe also, Seb, one that we've come to expect when he slots in over there on the right.
He's excellent in that right-hand channel, I think. I go back to Turf Moor, to the Burnley replay. He was an outlet all game there. He was superb, as he was tonight. Fully deserved the goal. And, yeah, I think he's kind of reinvented himself. That's definitely his position now, isn't it? He's not going to be a number 9 unless we have a ridiculous injury crisis. He's going to play in one of the 2 wide positions. And on the whole, his decision-making tends to be pretty decent. He gets the assist tonight for the first goal for Broadhead. When he gets in behind the fullback, he's always looking up. And, okay, sometimes the final delivery isn't there, but he's definitely improving in that aspect of his game, and a really useful squad player. I was surprised to see him start. I thought Burns and Clark would continue to build their relationship after the weekend before these bigger games, but I guess with Jackson in that role, he's never going to let you down, and that searing pace can absolutely terrify defenders.
I've just got Rick Astley in my head now. Anyway, I agree with you, Mikey. That is the kind of performance that I'd expect from Jackson now, to be honest. It's funny, and this is going to sound like criticism, which it really isn't. I thought Jackson and Dynastian were really good tonight, put in really good performances. But you can see why Clark and Burns start ahead of them. Certainly Clark. Dynastian had a great game and was busy along the back line, which was great. But Clark is just so much more incisive and quick. I was talking when I came in about the incisive attacking. Clark really, really drives us forward down that right side.
he adds pace, doesn't we? When we have Clark in addition to Burns or Jackson, suddenly we're really quick down that right hand side.
It's intense, isn't it?
And that's the weapon, isn't it? Whereas we're on the left hand side, slightly more class at the feet of Davis and Broadhead. So that's a really nice balance to strike, isn't it? And when Dynastian plays, we're more solid defensively, arguably, and maybe slightly better decision making, better link up with Burns. But Clark and Burns is probably the one that we go with on Saturday, right? There's a question here, so maybe a game for Dynastian again. But I don't know. I don't feel like we can afford to be pragmatic against Bolton. I think we just have to go for it, don't we?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the only way for me that Dynastian plays is if Davis can't make it. I was surprised to see him start tonight, to be honest. And there were points where he looked injured on the pitch tonight as well and carried on. So I'm pleased that he was subbed in the end. But for the reasons we just talked about, you've got to play Clark, and hopefully Davis is fit as well, and he's a threat down the other side as well. So structurally we're really sound right now, so I wouldn't be changing it too much, and I'd be bringing Burns in too. There's too many B's in there.
I think we have to go and attack these sides, don't we? That's when we're at our best. Top scorers in the league. Some of our attacking players are absolutely superb and too good for this division. So I wouldn't want to see us, changing a thing and sit back against the likes of Bolton and Barnsley and Derby on the horizon. I think we need to go there, not worry about them, put out our strongest attacking side and go for it, because that's when we're at our best. When we move the ball quickly, when we attack with intensity and pace and wave after wave.
Great.
Nathan Hall, thank you very much.
Good day, Nathan. Thank you.
$7 dues, 99. Thank you very much, Nathan. Martin says 11 wins is 102 points. Surely that will be enough. And I think David Bergen also says, do you think we'll stay unbeaten now until the end of the season? We can hope, can't we?
It's not impossible, but
it's not It's not impossible, but
it's a bit improbable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the game that we expect to be the most confident in is the one we'll stuff up in. But yeah, I mean, it'd be great. And it's the kind of run that we need to put, a Burley-esque 97, 98 run, isn't it, Seb? I'm trying to think that was the second half of the season where we
That's it. Yeah. Sign Jono and it all goes amazing. Lift off. Yeah.
That stretch from way back as well. Did that stretch from about November time in 99-2000 when we were in the playoff positions, and I think it might when we were in the automatic positions, and I think it might have happened again in 2004-05. We had bad marches, I believe.
I remember that.
We definitely had a bad march in 2000. I think it might have been when Cucci was injured as well in 2004-05.
Yeah, Watford and QPR.
Those back-to-back games, QPR and Watford. Yeah, I remember that. We lose them on a Tuesday and a Saturday, don't we? And the promotion season was. I remember Portsmouth coming to us and Steve Claridge doing a job, and they win 1-0. And was the Norwich game? I think the 2-0 Ewan Roberts game. I think that was late March, wasn't it? Yeah, March isn't normally it's not normally a kind month to us.
No, but maybe this time. Steve P says Plymouth have 6 away games in their next 8. Focus on ourselves, and I'm sure the door will open. Yeah, just win the games. Basically, that's what we've got to do. Isn't it?
All we can do.
Yeah. Julian Took says, hope Plymouth slip up in their away games. So they got lucky with the penalty. It wasn't one, but yeah, these things happen when you're in good form like they are at home. And Nick Muller's just looking on the bright side. 12 goals in the last 4 games and none conceded.
Yeah, doesn't
matter who you're playing against, does it? That is fantastic little run.
I've got to have a bit of a moan tonight. And the North Stand having absolute kittens when Christian Walton's got the ball at his feet, as if passing out of the back is something we've started doing tonight. I know there was a few moments. I felt really sorry for Walton because there's a couple at the start of the second half where he's looking for an out ball and there isn't one. Everyone has turned their back. He's clearly being told to kick the ball short, folks. And it's clearly a strategy to bring the opposition out there, to create space behind them.
Yeah,
there are gonna be squeaky bum moments there. I think Walton had probably one where he should have kicked the ball sooner and just hoofed it out of the way, but then he would have got criticism for hoofing the ball as well. So
yeah,
it really frustrated me that.
I think our first goal came from playing out from the back.
Well, and there was a move where we went from left to right across the pitch as well, second half as well, like a few minutes after that moment at the start of the second half as well. And I'm not saying don't, people can see things with their eyes, but I think we just need to be a bit more appreciative of the strategy that we've got there. This is a tactic. We've been doing it constantly as well, so it shouldn't surprise you, or you shouldn't go, oh. Look,
but also we're game week 35 now. I can't think of any direct mistakes we've made that resulted in goals from playing out from the back. So, okay, fair enough. Was it Plymouth or Wednesday? One of them, there was a bit jittery and they, didn't look that comfortable because they were pressing us high. I think it was Plymouth at home, wasn't it? But, it's game week 35. We've seen this now for, 12 months of McKenna's reign and no team has scored directly from it. So, yeah, like you say, just chill out, relax. It's how it's going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to pretend that Walton's distribution is kind of longer kicking is not great, but ball to feet when he's close in, his short passing's totally fine. And yeah, chill out. Thanks for listening.
Jack Sauder says we had a lot of defending to do in the last 2 games, so they were good clean sheets. Burgess had another decent game, didn't he? And Wolfenden maybe slightly better than Saturday as well.
Yeah, what I like as well, Mikey, there's a lot of chucking bodies in the way defending. That's the real
blocking
quiz
shots.
For me. Yeah, people jumping at stuff and diving in the way of stuff, which I like. That's maybe what was missing a few months ago. Do you know what I mean? Like we were not expecting to concede chances, and it was like, oh, whoa, what's this? We're being attacked here. This isn't right. So now we're getting stuck in and thrown in there. And yes, I know that some of these moments are a consequence of us being a little bit lax passing around the back, but still.
Now, I'm not sure what this is. I don't know if we need a bit of context here from Martin. So it says here Andy Warren won £34 million tonight.
On the KOA podcast, he's allowed to put bets on, and Mark Heath sets in the odds. And he bet something like £5 million that we would score 12 goals in these 4 games. So the Carl Edwards 90th minute, whatever, 92nd minute winner.
I can imagine you going crazy.
in the made-up world of their fictitious bookies, he's made himself a fortune tonight. Yeah.
Well, and
I
that's
was going to
why
say if he had won the lottery, it's been a hell of a week for him.
he's
Well,
our
first
favourite
he was in
member
the
of the
Blue
KOA
Monday's
pod.
favourite KOA, and then he wins 34 million
Proves
quid.
it. Proves it.
Lovely. Just dipping back into the Walton chat then, Michael Warner. When Walton goes long, we don't seem to win the ball set comes back again. Better to play it short and keep the ball. I think that's always the case, isn't it? And he's going to be under a lot more pressure on Saturday against Bolton. There might be a couple of squeaky moments, but hopefully we'll be able to create some good counter-attacking opportunities for the likes of Burns and Davis running forward down the flanks by doing that. But yeah, we can chat all night about the Bolton game, but we may as well hold that back until Thursday night at 8 o'clock, Rich, where you're going to be joined by Joe Fairs.
Me and Fairs, I've done a bit of squad rotation.
I explained to the good people that I beat you in predictions, and I received a signed for letter from you saying that my services were no longer required on the pre-match show.
Do you know what? I remember when this was the worst feature in the world, folks. It shows the fickle fate of football fans here that suddenly it's the best feature in the world. But no, Seb deserves a rest. I think he does a lot of heavy lifting behind the scenes. I think you're even offering to help us with some of the research anyway. So yeah, all best we can do is give you a week off, but we'll go live 8 o'clock, me and Joe Thursday. Be great to have some good chat in there. Probably plenty of 5-3 bants, I'm sure. So if you want to reminisce about the good old days, about all the stuff behind me, all these memories from 20 years ago, blimey, then join us on Thursday. Hopefully that'll be good fun. And as always, we'll try and inform you on Bolton, so you can be prepared and show off to your mates in the pub on 2 o'clock on Saturday.
Lovely stuff. And are you going to that one, Seb?
I am. Yeah, it's far too close for me to not be able to go to that one. So apparently it's going to be heavy snow, so that might be quite fun. But yep, I'll be there, and I'll be joining. I think it's Dave and Ben on the flagship on Sunday night, isn't it? To give my thoughts on Bolton. Hopefully the run will continue.
Get out the orange ball.
Beautiful, yeah. Orange ball time. Michael Warner says goodbye. Already late for work. Damn Ipswich and Blue Monday.
Sorry, Michael. Have a good one.
Sorry, Michael. But yeah, thanks everyone for joining and for driving the conversation with your excellent comments. And as Seb was here from the start, I'll let Seb have the final word before Rich returns in just a couple of days.
The run that we had to put together is done. We've delivered on the pitch for the last 4 or 5 games now, last 3-4 weeks. Big tests to come, big games to come, but we shouldn't fear anybody. Join Rich and Joe live on Thursday night to get the lowdown on Bolton. And as always, come on, you Blues.
Up the town.